camera. All right. So yin yang yoga tonight, we're going to look at the posterior chain. We're going to start from the bottom of the foot up through the Achilles tendon into those strong calf muscles, into the hamstrings, the glutes, and a little bit into the low back tonight. So we want to hit that chain. And as you sit here, finding your posture, finding your position tonight, sink into this present moment between the past and the future. And become stabilized in this moment. So when you feel yourself wandering into the past or the future, draw yourself back into this moment through the nose, through the breath. I like to say, feel the sanctuary of this moment, this space between the future and the past. Often at this time of the year, we're looking towards the future with resolutions. We're letting go of the past. But all this is taken care of simply by being present as you fully can to what is happening in the body, the breath. And there's a great painting by Leonardo da Vinci called The Mona Lisa. Bring the Mona Lisa smile into this moment, and notice when we have that smile on our lips, it's easier to be aware of this moment. Just a small change in the facial expressions, the facial muscles. And then bring your attention into the posterior chain of the body, the bottom of the feet, the Achilles tendon, the calf muscles, the back of the knees, the hamstrings, the glutes, the low back. Part of the dark side of the body, the part that we depend upon for so much of the way we live, and we tend to forget about that side of the body. So tonight, let's really look behind ourselves, look into that back side of the body, as if we had some kind of transparent vision, some kind of X-ray vision to gaze back and feel and be more sensitized there. Make sure you have a bolster and a strap, maybe a blanket for tonight's class. And let's get some nice action going there. Exhale, come forward, drop the hands down, head down, child pose. And even in child pose, with all the attention coming forward to the earth, bring that X-ray vision into the back body. Keep the inner eyes focused on the back body tonight. And see if your attention can pick up a part of the back body you've never noticed before. It might be a tiny crevice or crease or sensation. It might be a larger area. See if you can find the distinction, for example, between the lower calf muscle and the upper calf muscle. The lower calf muscle called the soleus, the upper calf muscle called the gastrocnemius. So muscles within muscles. Inhale, come up. Gently come on to your sit bones and then onto your back. Have a bolster handy and a strap. Bring the thighs over the bolster. And I'm going to use a towel under the head, a blanket under the head. And for the first time, start to feel the posterior chain against the earth. Letting the awareness be reflected back from the earth. Feeling the shoulder blades settle into the mat. Feeling the low back. The glutes against the mat. And then start to feel the hamstrings lift up over the bolster. The bolster giving the feedback to the hamstrings and the back of the knees. So there's a soft bend in the back of the knees. No pressure on the knees right now. So making sure that the bolster is under the hamstrings, not the calf muscles. And then feel the calf muscles suspended from the back of the knees all the way to the heel bones. The calf muscles are floating in the air. Feel the Achilles tendon joining the calf muscle to the heel. And then feel under the heel bone into the arch of the foot, the ball of the foot and the pads of the toes. Feel this hidden side of the body, vivid in your imagination. Bending both knees, lift the pelvis into the air. Hold the pelvis into the air for a moment and feel engagement. Feel engagement in the posterior chain, low back, glutes, hamstrings, calf muscles, bottom of the feet. Feel that engagement as you hold the body up against gravity. No support this time. The only support for the body is coming from the posterior chain, the bottom of the feet on the earth, the shoulders and head on the earth, but everything else is being lifted up. Lift up a little more, engage a little more so you feel the strength, the support of this back part of the body. Just appreciating its presence in this moment. Calf muscles strong, hamstrings strong, glutes strong. And then drag the bolster under the hips and relax the hips onto the bolster. Relax the legs, let the legs extend. This time feeling the suspension of the hamstrings down to the heels. Knees are a little straighter. So once again, looking with a fresh mind at what you've never noticed before. A new appreciation for the dynamics of this part of the body. Inhale, bring the left knee back in towards the ribs and hug the left knee. Squeeze the left knee so you feel sensations in the left low back, the left glute. Hamstring completely contracted, knee completely flexed, hip flexor completely flexed. Now curl the toes back a little bit towards the shin so you feel the hamstring trying to stretch against all this squeezing. Just the hamstring through the strength of the toes, reaching back, yearning to reach back to the shins. Feeling that plantar flexion in the foot, feeling the arch in the foot, the bottom of the foot stretching, the Achilles stretching a little more, the calf muscle, the soleus, the gastrocnemius all stretching. And then release. Let that left foot float back. Digest the sensations you just created. Marinate in them. Release the left leg. Let the left leg stretch out. And notice if you can feel any contrast between left and right leg already. Bend the right knee. Squeeze and pull into the rib cage. Strong squeeze. Once again, feeling low back, glutes on this right side, hamstring, contracted knee, flexed, hip flexor flexed. Pull down on the shin, and as you do, curl the toes back. Feel the bottom of the heel bone trying to stretch out to pull on the Achilles tendon and pull down on soleus of the calf muscle. Pulling on that lower calf muscle. Bottom of the foot arch, toes curl back even more. Feel the compression in the top of the right ankle. What is something new you're experiencing right now? Exhale, release. Let go. Let that right leg extend. Let the arms relax beside you. Pick up the left knee and pull the left foot back and grab the left foot with the left hand into half happy baby or wind reliever pose. And or saddle pose as we call in yoga. And if you can't grab the outside of the foot, wrap a strap around the bottom of the foot and pull down on the strap with that left hand. So pulling down on the strap or the outer edge of the left foot. Keeping the top of the foot facing the ceiling. Balancing. A cup of tea on the foot, making sure it doesn't spill. And then bring your attention into the posterior chain, the low back on the left side. The stretch sensation around the glutes, posterior. And that left hip flexor deeply compressed, even though it's towards the front. it might draw a lot of attention. And there's that hamstring again, from the knee to the hip. Now with the calf muscle, once again, let the toes curling back. See if they can pull the calf muscle. But this time the calf muscle is going to be experienced slightly differently. You might feel the upper calf muscle, the gastrocnemius, being pulled back. So there's a slight change in that calf muscle on the posterior chain this time, in this pose. Keep working the toes back, giving the body, the hip, time to adjust. If we were on our knees, we'd call this dragon pose. Dragon pose, one of the more ferocious poses in Yin Yoga. Five more breaths if you can. You might apply a little more power here, pulling that foot down. A little more strength. Just feeling the strength of those leg muscles. For 2 more breaths. Releasing the left leg. Releasing the strap if you're using the strap. Letting the left leg dangle out onto the mat. Contrasting left leg, left hip with right leg, right hip. Picking up the right knee, the right foot, reaching for that right foot with strap or with hand. Curling the toes back towards the shin, establishing the integrity of that right foot. And this time, bring your attention to the Achilles tendon, right at the bottom of the calf muscle. Feel the Achilles tendon. The tension as you pull that foot back, as the foot curls back. You might feel sensations in the back of the calf muscle, more towards the knee, into the hamstring, stretch in the right glute. And remember that little bit of intensity with the toes, always endeavoring to come back to the shin. So the ankle joint providing a fulcrum about which to pull the foot back, to realize how much the shin muscles, the muscles in the front of the leg, work to help stretch the calf muscle. 5 more breaths if you can. Exhale, release, let that leg float back.
I didn't get that.
Letting everything go. And then grab your strap. Bring the left foot into the strap. And start with a mild flossing on the bottom of the foot. Just a smooth, mild, tactile rub against the heel bone, the arch, the ball of the foot, maybe just connecting the bottom of the foot with the strap. Then position the strap in a way that it's right where the arch of the foot joins the ball of the foot, right in that base of the big toe to the base of the little toe. And create a little downward pull of strength against the foot with both hands pulling down on the strap, forcing the heel bone of the left foot to push towards the sky. And bringing your attention into the back of the leg. Firstly at the base of the heel bone, the Achilles tendon. Feel all that's going on there. And then visualize the calf muscles tying into that Achilles tendon. Those big bulbous muscles, that's strong muscles, very strong muscles. Feel how they need to lengthen to sustain that dorsiflexion of the foot. Bring your attention into the back of the knee joint, noticing what's going on there, where the calf muscle ties in. Connects to the femur. Then pull the foot back a little more, keeping the leg straight so you start to feel sensation move up into the hamstring, higher up into that posterior chain. Never overdoing it, but feeling how important it is for this part of the body to lengthen appropriately. It's often a very shortened part of the body, tight, which creates so many issues on the back for our posture. Often making us slump. And while the attention is on the sensations in this lifted leg, this strapped foot, push out through the right heel for a moment, curl the toes back of the left foot, and see if that action in the right foot can help the left foot copy, mimic, curl back more. So the right toe is communicating to the left toes. And then take both ends of the strap into that left hand. The left hand taking over the job of holding that foot back. And we're going to move deeper into the upper part of the posterior chain here by bending the right knee. Pull the right knee back towards the ribs. So there's a squeezing action, lifting the pelvis a little higher off the bolster. And that enables us to pull that left foot back a little more, and for the sensations to journey further towards the hips, into the hamstring, into the glutes. And hopefully the low back feels a gentle release here. So really all the action starts from the hamstring down to that left knee, and then down to the foot, right through the leg. And the low back gets a nice release. And then feeling how the posterior chain travels around the leg towards the interior thigh as you pull the left foot out to the left and the right knee out to the right. The tension still in the posterior chain, but now wrapping around into the adductor. Feel that in the knee joint. Can you feel anything happening in the knee joint as you push out through that left heel? So more and more I'm finding when we want to do things like back bends, it's good to stretch out the back of the body first before you demand it to contract and lift you up. It's good to get the kinks out. Now gently bring that left leg in. Change hands. So the right hand this time is going to take over. And just with that shift of hands, you'll already notice a slight distinction happening in the posterior chain. It moves more towards the outside of the hamstring. Straighten the right leg out. And start to carefully cross the midline of the body, so you bringing the sensation more into the lateral part of the leg, into the low glute. Try to keep both hips on the ground for now. We'll lift the hips up in a moment. Definitely keep the left shoulder on the ground. If you don't feel too much here, bring the foot back towards the head more. And then roll onto your right hip and bring that left foot over to the side, towards the floor. There'll be a tendency here to lose the flexion in the foot. Push through the heel bone, toes curled back for 3, 2, and then gently come back. Gently come back, remove the strap. We're going to do a slow descent of the left leg. Straighten the right leg out. And on the count of 10, lowering that left leg. 9. Push through the heel bone. 8. 7. Toes curled back. So we don't want to relax this left leg until we're all the way back to the earth. 5. 45-degree angle. Now from here down, start to focus on the left hip. Push the left hip down as well. Right hip comes up. 4. Push through the hip to the heel. 3. Hip to heel. Push. 2. Last 10 degrees. Push through the hip to the heel until you find the earth and relax. Notice the huge difference when we spend all this time on the posterior chain. Most people experience it as one side of the body longer than the other, which is actually true. There is an extension. It's visible. If you watch people do this, you can see the visible difference. Up to ½ an inch or so, completely different length. Bringing the right foot up into the strap. Let's do some gentle flossing. Feeling the texture of the strap against the bottom of the foot. Position the strap where the ball meets the arch. Start to engage the stretch in the calf muscle by curling the toes back. And the strength of the arms pulling down on the strap, pulling the upper part of the foot towards the shin. Heel pushes up. Explore your calf muscle here and notice where you're feeling the most sensation. And it may be different for each one of us, I'm not sure. I'm feeling it slightly in the interior side of the calf muscle right now. The medial part of that muscle. Now pushing through the heel bone a little more. And then explore slowly pulling the foot back until you feel sensations move higher up into the leg towards the hamstring, back of the knee, hamstring. And the beauty is when we have the elevated hips on the bolster, it allows us to get a little more range of motion and explore with more nuance into the back of the leg. The left leg might even come off the ground as you pull back. Push a little more and pull back a little more. Feel the knee joint. Releasing the tension. Remembering our goal here is to lengthen these muscles. Opportunity to wrap, and right hand takes over the strap, left hand free. And even though the left hand is gone, use the strength of the right hand to keep the tension on the ball of the foot so we can press through the heel bone. And as you come back, you might start to feel the inner right thigh starting to feel a little bit. This is where we can bring the left knee up and hug. Squeeze in, left knee, pull back, right leg. The more you squeeze the left knee, the more leverage offers that right leg to come back. And when you feel this all the way back into the top of the calf muscle, top of the hamstring, let's start to bring that right leg out, creating an interior sensation through the inner thigh. And coming back to this primary area of the posterior chain, push through the right heel, curl the toes back. So we don't let the posterior chain go, even though the sensations shift to the inside of that right leg. and gently bring back. Release the left foot to the ground. Switch hands. Right hand comes out onto the floor beside you. Left leg extends. And once again, that small shift can just simply shift the sensations towards the lateral side of the upper right thigh. I like to call it the sciatic stretch, because that whole area along the sciatic area starts to come alive with sensation. Keep the right hip grounded, so push the right hip down as you pull the right foot back. That should really light up that sciatic area. The hip is grounded, the hand and shoulder is grounded. Now you can lift the right hip up and bring that right foot over towards the left side. Keep pushing through the right heel to maintain the aliveness in the right glute, right abductor, and then gently come back. You can release the strap. Countdown time. Lowering that right leg towards the earth. 10. Push through the right hip. 9. 8. Push through the right heel. 7. 6. Curl the toes back. 5. 4. Lengthen. 3. Lengthen and lower. 2. Slowly let that last 10 degrees be slow, careful, light. Relax everything. Relax everything. Lift the head and remove the blanket from under the head. Lift both knees up and hug both knees back towards the shoulders. Now this could be a moment where you might want a chair behind you or a stack of cushions. We're going to come into snail pose, which is going to create a posterior stretch in the upper posterior chain. But now that we've got the lower posterior chain stretched out, it might be, I'm going to bring a couple of bolsters behind me for my feet to come down to. And some people have no trouble bringing their toes to the ground. So once again, bringing those knees up, bring the hands down to the bolster or the ground, and push the hips into the air and bring the hands to support the low back on each side towards the kidneys. And start to feel the sensations in the mid back into the neck.
So this is the primary beginning of, say, half shoulder stand, where you can extend the legs and balance the weight of the body into the triceps, and using an upward lift of the hips, using your core strength to take pressure off the neck. Now if you curl your toes back and push through the heel bones, you feel that familiar calf muscle stretch. And then you can start to lower the legs, hinging over the waist towards the floor or the raised chair behind you. At this point, because the center of gravity is so far back now, you can bring the hands to the floor. So the stretch moving into the upper mid-back area, into the neck. You might feel the chin against the chest. And this is a chance to feel the impact on the breathing system and manage the breath. For 5 more breaths here. Now to come back, bring the hands to the floor. To support you, let the hips cut back down to the bolster. Allow the head to come off the ground as you lower back down. Let the feet find the floor. And pause. Run your attention down through the posterior chain now from the back of the skull. So feel the back of the skull, the occipital ridge, the back of the neck, the back of the shoulders, the upper back, the shoulder blades, mid-back, the lumbar arch, and feel particularly that area from the low back into the glutes. And from the glutes down to the bottom of the feet, should be feeling open and relaxed. So we really moved into the upper posterior chain on snail pose. Inhale, lift the pelvis and push the bolster under the thighs. Let the low back come down, let the low back release. And then remove the bolster. We're going to get into the posterior chain from the rotation here. Cross the left knee over the right knee. Hands out 90 degrees. Push down through the right foot and lift up the pelvis. So here we are in a one-legged cross-legged one-legged cross-kneed bridge pose. Feel that right hamstring. Now, that right hamstring is ready. After that big stretch, it's ready to hold you up. It's appropriately lengthened. And now you're pushing down, holding the hips up. Tilt the pelvis to the right, bring the knees to the right, and twist to the right, bringing that right hip down to the ground. Arms out 90 degrees. Let's give that left low back, left glute some nice quality time in this stretch. Exhale, turn the head to the right. Inhale the head to neutral, and then turn the head to the left. Noticing the range of motion in that opposite twist. Explore with a little bit of cat and cow here in this double twist. Exhale, pull the navel in and tuck the tailbone. Inhale, arch the low back, lift the tailbone. So using the strength of those deep, low core muscles to add a new sensation to the lumbar twist. Inhale, release. Bring the head to neutral, knees to neutral, and release into Shavasana. Once again, bring your attention through the back body. Look for where the sensations cross over and change from the twist. You feel where they go from the right side to the left side. Bend the knees and cross the right knee over the left. Once again, left hamstring being deeply stretched out. Press down and lift up nice and high. So if you're coming into any kind of back bend now after that deep posterior chain stretch, these muscles are ready to go. Feel that left hamstring. Feel the left calf muscle. Lift up higher if you can. And then tilt to the left, knees to the left, hands out 90 degrees. Turn the head to the left. And then carefully rotate the head to the right into the counter direction. Ooh. And try a little cat and cow here with the tailbone. Strong abdominal contraction as you exhale. And then relax. Bring the head to neutral. Uncross the legs into Shavasana. Let it go. Let yourself be safe in this moment between the future and the past. When we let the body relax, we become more present. There's an automatic shedding of the past, like a skin falling off a snake. We shed the past as we relax into the present. When we shed the past, just like the snake, we have that new skin of the present. When there's no past, there's no future. Relax even more. Relax even more. Staying in this moment, staying with the fresh skin of this moment. Keeping that ease you've cultivated, gently bend the knees and roll to one side.
And then slowly press up. And find your seat. Scan the posterior chain from the skull to the pads of the toes. Remain safe in this moment. Namaste.